This one's a little more tricky because we don't have a convenient point sitting right on the vertical axis that says, oh yeah, this thing is just flipped or it's not flipped. It's just sine or cosine. We don't have a convenient point like the bottom of a trough or the top of a wave or something right on the baseline sitting on the y-axis, which indicates to me that there's going to be a horizontal shift. And we look at this and we say it could be sine or cosine, and it could be flipped or not flipped. I'm going to pick sine, which we know the period is 2 pi, and I'm going to say it's not flipped. So if I go to step 3 and I want to find the absolute value of A, we know it's the absolute value of the high, which is at 0, minus the low, which is at -8 over 2. So this is 4. And it's not flipped, so A is 4. So there's one of them. We want to find D next. So that's 0 plus -8 over 2. And that gets us -4. So that's saying our baseline is down here at y equals -4. To find the period, this is where we have to work a little bit harder. You have to look at the graph and pick out those two corresponding points. Which 2 points you want to work with is up to you, so you need to identify them. So if I'm looking at them, I might pick here where I'm touching the y-axis, the vertical axis, and I see that that point is 0, -7. And I'm intersecting the graph as it's coming down from the wave towards the trough. So the corresponding one is over here. That's one full cycle, corresponding point, and I go on up to there. And when I estimate, I think that it's about at the x value, because we don't care about the y value, but we look, and it's going to be, of course, at the -7. But what we care about, so this is the x value we want. What we care about is the x value, which I would say is about 1.25. So this is why you have to tell me what numbers you're looking at, because if you don't, I'm going to say, where did that number come from? And I'm going to wonder about it. So make sure that you are paying attention to that and you're showing me what values you're using to figure out the period. So that says that this period is 1.25 minus 0, so it's saying the period is 1.25. And so our B value is 2 pi over 1.25, which comes out to be roughly 5.03, so we'll call it 5. Now for the horizontal shift. Since we called it sine, and we said sine is not flipped, then I find it useful to look for the point that would be on the baseline if it hadn't been shifted. And so this distance from here to the baseline, if I go up the axis and see where it touches on x, then I see it's about 0.45. So I'm seeing the point for the shift, I'm seeing x is equal to 0.45, and that's a positive number, and that's telling us that h is 0.45. That's a shift to the right, so it's positive, and that tells us that c is sorry, I distracted myself. Okay, so we know that 0.45 is C over B, which is C over 5, which we picked for B. So now we know that C, when we solve for it, and we need a negative C over B. So this is negative C over 5. So when we solve for C, we get negative 2.25. And so now we're ready to write the equation. We say f of x is equal to a is 4. We picked sine. B is 5. X. Our c is minus 2.25. And then we have to add d, so it's minus 4. And if you plug that in into a graphing calculator, graphing software, you will get something that looks an awful lot like this guy. Now your numbers could be off a little bit, and that's okay as long as you're telling me what points you're using. Give it a try.